So, Gabe, you have been a lot of places before you finally established yourself with the Mariners this past season. You were in a lot of trades. Like there was one very famous trade you were in, and I want to read this description of this trade, how they portrayed you, and I want you to react to what this article thought of, like described you as part of this trade, the Shelby Miller trade, Dansby Swanson, Shelby Miller trade. Very, especially of us who's interact with a lot of Diamondbacks fans, not a very impactful trade for them, not in a good way. But you were
Yeah.
included in that trade as well, and you were described in a Fangraphs article, Gabe, as quote, "Who is a player?" Do you like that description of yourself?
I mean, yeah, no, that I've been overlooked a lot in my career. An undersized left-handed reliever. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, all of that has just fueled the fire for me throughout my whole career. And they can say what they want; it's just noise. But and also, at the time, I was like a low A pitcher. So it is what it is. But yeah, no, I wouldn't say I like that now. But at the same time, like I've had a chip on my shoulder my whole career, and anybody that wants to dish out, it's just helping me. So it's all good.
Well, I mean, that's good to hear. But so now that you're like actually you're a established big leaguer, can you like look back at those trades and you're like, wow, like there's a lot of baseball history with my name in it.
Yeah, at the time going through all those trades, I was a minor league guy being involved in like some significant major league trades. So for me, it was really cool. I mean, getting traded for the first overall pick. I mean, not me, just me for him, but being involved in that was super cool. I mean, I was like a 19, 20-year-old kid being involved in these trades, and it was for me, it was super exciting. And you know, bouncing around a lot, I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I've got to meet a lot of good people from a lot of different organizations, and it's been great. I wouldn't change my path to the big leagues. At all. So it's been a roller coaster, but a good one.
Yeah, I guess for those who may not know, so it wasn't just the Shelby Miller Dansby Swanson trade, but the other three times you were traded, one of them was to the Tigers for Yoenis Cespedes, one of them was to the Braves for Cameron Maybin, the other was for John Jay, and that was to the Royals. Like, so to that point, yeah, it's got to be kind of, at least in some way, while it's probably not fun to be traded, there's got to be something on the other end that says, well, there's always a team out there that wants me. There's somebody that likes what I bring. Like, is that
Yeah,
a mindset
yeah,
you have?
yeah. I always joke. I say everybody and nobody wants me. Um, I mean, it's not easy to get traded. Thankfully, the majority, I think three of the four were during the off season, so it wasn't like I had to pack up and leave. But it definitely was tough at times, like feeling like, excuse me, just getting comfortable in an organization, like making friends and getting comfortable with coaches and staff, and then feeling at home, and then getting shipped off somewhere else and kind of having to restart that. Like that wasn't necessarily the easiest thing, but at the end of the day, where every team is playing the same game, it's not like the biggest deal in the world to me. And like I said, it's been great. I've had some great experiences with every organization I've been with. So yeah.
Did one of those trades stick out more to you than the other one? The way it felt on you, the phone call you had, your relationship with the organization, any of that?
Yeah, well, I would say the most excited I was being claimed by the Mariners. But as far as trades go, yeah, getting traded to the Diamondbacks and like that kind of like high profile trade was really cool. And having, the GM call me from the Diamondbacks saying we're happy to have you. This trade wouldn't have happened without you. It could have just been words, but it definitely made me feel wanted, and it is, when you get traded, that means the organization wants you, and it's a good feeling.
So let's piggyback off that a little bit. You said the most excited you've been of any of these acquisitions is when the Mariners claimed you last year. We
Mhm.
talked to Topa and Sauce, a couple other guys who said when they got here and they had their first meeting or two with the team, with the pitching group, and they sat them down and said, hey, here's what you do really well. Here's what we want you to do. They talked about how they were just blown away. In fact, Sauce was saying Trent Thornton said the same thing. They were like, I've never had meetings like that. That was super cool. And I've never thought of it that way. When you had your first meeting with those guys, like, were you pretty impressed when you walked away from it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, pitching with Kansas City, I'm super thankful for Kansas City. They gave me the opportunity to pitch in the big leagues and live out my dream, but I couldn't really gain any traction there. I was kind of an up and down guy for them. And that year, I pitched well in the big leagues. I had like a two something in 20 innings, smaller sample size, but I felt I threw the ball well. And then I got sent down to AAA, and I couldn't get anybody out. And I had a really rough couple months in AAA, and I had legitimate thoughts of I might never pitch in the big leagues again. So when I was DFA'd and the Mariners claimed me, I was like, let's go. Like, not only am I getting another chance, but I'm getting another chance with a team that was just in the playoffs last year. Like, this is awesome. And to answer your question about that first initial meeting with the Mariners, um, with Woody, he was just like, listen, we picked you up. I was expecting, hey, we want you to change the grip on your slider. We want you to change all this stuff. And it was the opposite. It was just, we picked you up because we really like what you bring to the table. We just need you to throw more strikes and attack hitters in a slightly different way. And hearing that just, gave me a bunch of confidence. Like, hey, these guys really just like what I have already. Like, I don't need to change much. It's just maybe a shift in mentality or, attacking hitters. And that was really refreshing to hear. And it gave me a lot of confidence. And, you know, I was able to take that confidence into last season and kind of run with it. So it was a lot of fun last year.
From stuff I've read and heard about the story of that first conversation, wasn't the question he asked you is like he was asking you about your fastball usage, and you said you didn't really have an answer for it. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, like I really actually kind of like your sinker more. Throw it more, right?"
Yeah. Yeah. So it was, previously before the Mariners, I was almost strictly four seam slider to left-handed hitters. And, I've always been decent at getting left-handed hitters out, but he said, why don't you throw your sinker to lefties? And I was just like, well, because nobody's ever told me to do that. Like, and um, he's like, well, you need to do that because there was like a small thing. I had thrown some sinkers to lefties, and he's like, everyone you've thrown, like nobody's hit it hard. Like you've maybe given up one hit. Like this is what you need to do. And I was just like, why haven't I heard this before? And so yeah, Woody pointed that out, and that was a big thing. I mean, I love throwing sinkers to lefties now. It's like my favorite thing to do. So it's definitely helped.
Okay, I want to put a pin in your whole pitch arsenal thing, and I'll circle back to it in a minute or two. But when you started to have the success you did last year, did it ever resonate with you? And if it did, like at what point did it start to resonate with you where you said, man, I'm having a really good year. Like everything is clicking for me. Like, did you allow yourself to feel that way at all?
Yeah, I mean, people will always say like you'll mention a stat to them and they'll be like, yeah, I didn't know that. I have a hard time believing that. I think people know what's going on and how they're doing. And yeah, I mean, I had some success in the big leagues with the Royals, but yeah, last year that first month, I didn't give up a run the first month of the season. I was like, I can do this. Like I belong here, and yeah, so I kind of realized it quick in the first month, I'd say.
And it wasn't just your stuff, Gabe, that ticked up. It was the stat that lived in infamy last year for this pitching staff. It's throwing first pitch strikes. You were the guy, 78%. And the year before in Kansas City was 48%, I think, first pitch strikes, like total total polar opposites. What were you sort of when they're trying to get you to throw more first pitch strikes, you're like, well, I don't want to be too predictable.
Hmm.
Is that ever
Yeah.
a pushback in that?
No, as soon as it was, that's the Mariners' pitching philosophy is dominate the zone and win the 0-0 and the 1-1 counts. And, they didn't just say that. They showed me the data to back it up. It's crazy. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like if you're in an 0-0 count and you throw ball one, the batting average is 350 in that count. And if you get strike one, it's 200. And then 1-1's even more so. It's like if you go to 2-1, it's like 380, and if you go to 1-2, it's like 180. And they just showed me the numbers, and I was just like, this is crazy. Like I need to be in these counts as often as possible. And I'm not Andres Munoz or Matt Brash. I don't throw 100. I do believe in my stuff. My dogs are here. I do believe in my stuff. I think I have really good stuff, but it's not, 100. So for me, it's I need to be in these counts as often as possible. And they told me that, and I just kind of took it and ran with it. So yeah.
Speaking of stats and speaking of data, like, you may or may not know this or pay attention to this as two baseball nerds who always kind of dig through this stuff. Like we've seen this about you. You get guys to chase your pitches a lot. Like I'm talking like top of the league and chasing your pitches. Has that always been a part of your game, or is that something that's evolved too?
I think I, have some swing and miss stuff, but I attribute the chase to the first pitch strike and getting ahead of hitters. Because, when you get strike one, you're on the offense and the hitter's on the defense. And then, when you throw ball one, vice versa. So, and I think, as the season went on, guys started to realize like, hey, this guy is going to throw you a lot of strikes. So guys were more aggressive, I'd say. And I was able to maybe get a little more chase out of the zone because of that.
And the rest of your arsenal, it sounds like it's evolving a little bit. You mentioned on the hot stove earlier this week that you're looking to add a cutter, been working on a cutter and a split change as well. I guess to start with the cutter, what does that pitch offer that your other pitches don't? What do you want to achieve with that?
It would just be another pitch to use against right-handed hitters. Both my fastballs, I throw a 4 and 2, they move arm side. And it would be, I think, really good to have something that's firm that moves glove side for right-handed hitters, kind of work the ball in on them. And then the changeup as well. They're both, I would say, they're kind of both still in, in the process of becoming part of the arsenal. I do believe in them, and I think that they're going to be good for me. But they were designed to be used mostly against right-handed hitters to just be a little more effective against righties.
What's the difference between a splitter and a split change?
I grip it like a splitter. I call it a split change because it's not a true splitter. It doesn't drop off the table like Logan Gilbert's does. The profile is more of a changeup. It moves more like a changeup. The grip is just a split. So it's not a true splitter. So I just call it a split change.
And is splitter judged in vertical movement?
I would say so. Yeah, I just, I don't know what the like thresholds are for like calling if it's a split change or a splitter. I think for me, I like calling it a split change because it's more of a mental thing for me. I'm not like totally splitting the ball between my fingers. It's more of just kind of a gradual, more comfortable in my hand. I just spread it. And yeah, so I don't know if I just answered your question or not, but it's more for me to like think more change up on it than splitter.